decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to the Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They're feeling too. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ibuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
That two lawmakers have backtracked on the move to impeach Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara. If you've been paying attention to happenings with Rivers politics, about 26 of the House members, the State House of Assembly members, have all signed to agreed to impeach the State Governor Siminalayi Fubara. There's been a lot of talks going on to find a political solution to what has been happening in that state. Yesterday, I came across a report that some traditional rulers in Rivers State have also come together and formed a committee, more like a reconciliation committee, to make sure that whatever it is between Sim and Wiki are taken care of. And of course, I've always asked one question, which is where all of this madness leaves the people of Rivers State in terms of governorship. How does a man who is working with people that say are his enemies, for the want of a better word. I mean, a man working with his enemies, how is he expected to make any headway, especially where the job is the governance of the River State population in its entirety, and of course managing the resources of the oil-rich state? All of those questions would we've answered before, and of course we keep giving answers to as events develop right here on the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. And of course it is exactly 60 years since the first military coup in Nigeria happened. I am pretty sure that is the kind of matters that Dr. Tony Mbeki likes to delve into. A statistician, that this man loves history more than anything. And of course, all of these we get to do justice to on today's edition of the Polity. Yesterday, while I was walking towards, heading towards 33, I realized that the market area, which is one of the major problems of that area, because the 33 junction axis, where you have one road leading to Nkwele and the other road leading to College, has this market that often encroaches into the road, and its dump site being on the figure that defines that place as a roundabout. So you find out that people who sell tomatoes just stack up the tomato baskets with all sorts of dirt on that road. I realized that it's been cordoned off. I saw this red and white tape that construction workers used to cordon off an area on some parts of that road. That's to show that Governor Charles Chukuma Soludo is making true his promise. I promise you I'll follow that project like bumper to bumper. Everything I see there, I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that place is kind of personal to me for several reasons. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Polity. I am Chisom Chinedu. Dr. Tony Olisambeki, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, the Anambra. Good morning, Onitsha. Good morning, the Osumo. Good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. It's a pleasure being here. We thank God Almighty for His blessings upon us, for His mercies, for everything He has been doing for us and He keeps doing. We thank Him profoundly, and we cannot cease to thank Him. And honestly, many of us slept very late last night. Then we are sharing the Super Eagles, and then we saw what happened. And I was all awake.
Was broken.
I was all awake throughout the game. The game ended past 12, and that's also all you need to know about football. And then I had a post on my Facebook where I said the Ghanaian referee was not fair to us, and many even argued, did we even play well? But the truth be told, a spade is a spade, and you cannot shy away from calling out some of the things. You cannot allow a situation, because I looked at the official match stats. Nigeria had 24 fouls with 2 yellow cards, and Morocco, the host nation, had 22 fouls without a yellow card. How can a team commit 22 fouls? You cannot even brandish a single yellow card. And it's not just that. The one brandished to Bassi, even when it was obvious that the Moroccan first pulled his chest before they got entangled, and then he was booked. And all these things are there. But the truth is, the Moroccans did very well as a host nation. Of course, this is their first title they will be chasing for in the past 50 years. And it's not even easy to host such tournament. They have shown grit, they have shown tenacity, they have also shown some level of performance we've not seen in many years. They were eliminated by France in 2022 World Cup. They got to semi-final. It tells you how good that team is. And they caged Osimhen, our
star boy,
talismanic player. They caged him, and they never allowed forwards to tap or even trap any game. Once they're holding the ball, they will give kudos to our defense. I've not seen such defensive performance from Nigerian Super Eagles. But it was heartbreaking. We saw DR Congo eliminating us through penalty shootouts. I didn't want that penalty shootout. Immediately got the ball descended to that, I switched off the television. I said, good luck. You know why? Because of what happened against DR Congo. Nigeria, or the Super Eagle, for now, they have not trained on how to score penalties or during penalty shootouts. It was embarrassing, and then people have started trivializing the whole game, saying Samuel Chukwueze came from the bench. I think that was around 119 minutes just to miss a penalty, saying that Igbo boy. But they could not remember other things other Igbo boys did, like Iwobi, and even what they have done to this moment. We could have beaten Morocco, honestly speaking. If we could have beaten, I don't want to blame anybody, and I know Morocco, Nigeria, for me, if you place two teams side by side, Nigeria edged them. Nigeria edged them. Just that we did not do one or two things right. But it happened the way it happened. We say kudos to them. They will be playing Egypt on Saturday for the bronze. Of course, we are the highest bronze winning side with 8 in the entire AFCON. 8. That tells you that if you look at medals, bronze, silver, and then
gold.
Would you say gold? Okay, gold. Put them together. We are number one. But when it comes to number one, the winning the title, we have about 3. We are actually chasing our 4th title. But in any case, that's not what we are here. We're not here to talk about sports. But I slept very late as a result of this game. And I also saw Arsenal Chelsea, and I saw Liam Rossinier, the Chelsea coach, what he has in place for Chelsea. And it tells you how that young man, 41 years, the son of Leroy Rossinier, if you follow that Sky Sports popular program, Fan Zone. That man that usually does match analysis. His son is the Chelsea coach. And the man is from Sierra Leone. That's where the man is. He's of Sierra Leone descent. His son is that. Of course, it's good to have a black man being a top manager in the English first flight. So that man, for me, he showed something. Arsenal is the leaders of Premier League, the best team in entire Europe right now. So for him to get 3-2 is a good start for him.
All right, then we're going to first start by telling you what the front pages of the papers say, and right after that we dive into the conversation proper. On our desk this morning we have the Punch newspaper, the Nation, Vanguard, and the Guardian. And starting with the Punch newspaper, banner headline here: U.S. visa shock wave. Trump order may delay 5,000 intended Nigerian immigrants. Also another story here. The writer to this story: 70,621 Nigerians got non-immigrant U.S. visas in 2024. New U.S. visa restrictions hit Nigeria, 74 others. NPAN, NGE, Mon Newswatch co-founder Mohammed on page 8. Lagos Dispatch rider back 7-year jail term for trafficking tramadol on pages 4 and 5. FG orders banks, fintechs to remit VAT and service fees on page 9. Opposition knocks FG over alleged a $9 million US lobbying deal on page 2. And urgent call to action. This is an advertorial. Call off recess and pass the electoral bill 2025. And FG also unveil agreement to end strikes on page 8. And on the sports column, 2025 AFCON, Eagles crash out on penalties to Morocco on page 30. And right from the Punch, let's go to the Nation, where we see the banner headline being on Rivers State politics. Wike Fubara feud. More Rivers lawmakers opt for reconciliation. Find the story on page 2. Mernax step in. Our church bombing. I stepped over bodies in search of missing son, says witness on page 5. U.S. poses immigrant visa processing for Nigeria, Ghana, 73 others on page 2. Dangote refinery expansion begins, listed on NGX mid-year on page 2. NJC appoints Oyewole as Supreme Court Justice on page 4. 2 justices retired. Newswatch co-founder Mohammed dies at 75 on page 29. Lecturers get 40% pay rise and new federal government ASU pact on page 16. And on page 4, Bago, we will bomb bandits in Niger forest within 2 months. Find the story on page 4. 2 months. Promises all the time. Let's go to the Vanguard. Banner headline here is 6 years after why Nzogu's coup was unavoidable. Major General Haruna retired on page 12. The writers here: the bloody coup that changed Nigeria forever. The Nzogu I interacted with by Alabi Isama. Story of coups in Nigeria from Akinola. The Ademulegun's call for Tinubu's attention. FG has to sign pact to end strike in varsities on page 5. Impeachment, 2 Rivers lawmakers backtrack. Call for political solution for crisis on page 21. I received threats over tax reforms. Oyedele on page 9 and 20 says 96% of Nigeria's personal income tax from low-income earners. Dangote refinery to achieve 1.4 million barrels per day expansion in 3 years. Find that on page 30. U.S. freezes visa processing for Nigeria, 74 others of welfare dependents on page 56. Okpapo Dun's book, The Gun Hegemony, for presentation today on page 8. Tinubu NGE Ododo mourners Yakubu Mohammed dies at 75 on page 7. Edo protest excitement envelops Ekboma over release of remanded students on page 21. And on sports, Gallant Super Eagles crash out on penalties against Morocco. We're also learning that Boaz Cement CEO said he's giving them $500,000 regardless of them not making it to the finals. I think I should work towards having a foot. Tony, is your son going to be a footballer? Because this man seems to earn a whole
Definitely, I would wish that. I love football, there's no doubt.
I know
Who wouldn't
you
want
do.
that?
I know you do. The Guardian newspaper banner headline here: ambassador's absence, desperation expels FG's $9 million lobbying in the US on page 6. Ex-SSG alleges Katsina LG budgets 300 million naira to pay bandits on page 28. Can we stop masking things with the word alleged? Can we start having proper investigations done? This is not going to be the first time that we hear of governments of different states up north paying off these men. Cracks emerge as more Rivers lawmakers push back on Fubara's impeachment on page 6. Falana demands immediate release of Edo protesters on page 7. Concerns as 10 MDA's budget 24 billion for software this year. Tinubu, Mark, NPAN columnists mourn. Newswatch co-founder Mohammed on page 5. And TUC demands immediate withdrawal of no work, no pay directive for health workers on page 28. Professors to earn extra 1.8 million naira yearly in lieu of GRC Pact on page 3. And page 3 again, Dangote shows Nigerians of price stability, listing of refinery stocks. Nigeria's oil production falters as FG sets terms for bid round licenses on page 4. So Tony, let's dig in. We understand that 2 more lawmakers have retracted on Fubara's impeachment. And of course, we understand that about 3 days ago, 2 retracted, and now we have 2 more. And so, if you are wondering what is happening, Tony, you'd bring us up to speed with what has been happening with Fubara's impeachment. The 3rd time since 2023. I'd like to say that this man has seen more impeachment in his tenure than has any governor had it this bad. I mean, 3 impeachments from the same house in 3 years of his stay in office. Okay, give or take, yes, 3 years, because 2023 to 2026 has had 3 attempts to impeach him. And when I was starting, I said, I don't know how this man is supposed to function. We're having to work with what I term his enemies, because it's been back-to-back rivalry from a team that is supposed to be his backbone. Talk about how important the legislative arm of any government is to make the work of the executive easy and even assent to most of the things the executive will want to do. And so let's look at, are we expecting more people? And of course, what do you think changed that led to this sudden backtrack of these lawmakers, Tony?
The truth remains that, just like I said earlier on, if you recall, I did say that some of the lawmakers have seen that the impeachment 2.0 is quite different from impeachment 3.0. During or under impeachment 2.0, Fubara was a member of PDP. And being a member of the PDP, he had no brother, no sister. In fact, it was more like a political orphan. And they felt that they were well protected by the presidency. Now, under impeachment 3.0, it's a different ball game, in the sense that they have seen the national leadership of the party backing Fubara, and many of them will need the signatures of these members.
So you think this is about their personal interest? Give me a second. Let me even tell you the names of the persons who retracted. Minority leader representing Omuma constituency. Speak about Sylvanus Nwankwo. We also have Peter Abi, member for Degema constituency. We have Barile Nwako, deputy minority leader representing Kana constituency. And we have Amelia Madi, member for Obio or Akbo constituency. Yes, 2. Okay, these 4 people have backtracked. And Tony, you think this is because they have seen that Fubara is no longer an orphan?
That is
the political orphan.
It is one of the reasons. And when you see the party leadership speaking in favor of this man, Fubara, and you've seen them making statements saying this cannot be allowed to continue and all that, their nomination forms will be signed by your Watilda and then the secretary of the party. So if you look at it, they know very well that in this game, are we even safe? It's quite different. That is just one. So it's not about the elders appealing to them. And it's also a kind of game. Gameplay in the sense Fubara must have reached out to these people.
Absolutely.
And he reached out to them in the past, but they never budged in because they felt that they had nothing to lose. But now they have something to lose.
You know, a few days ago when we went through the things that we had said on the floor of the House, when the members started this impeachment move, Tony, they said he was working with people they did not confirm. He was spending the money of River State recklessly and all sorts. You know, they said he was doing all wrong things. That's why they wanted to impeach him. But with these backtracks, Tony, I'm curious to find out, are these people genuinely impeaching Provara because he's not doing the right thing for Rivers, or it's really a political witch hunt?
It's a political witch hunt. Everything about this impeachment is political. Forget about he has breached his constitutional provision and all that. And we have dealt with this issue. There was a day we looked at everything they brought out as his so-called gross misconduct, and we looked at those things. Many of them are watery, many of them are flimsy, many of them are not convincing. You can't talk about appropriation, that he has not presented appropriation bill before the House when there is an appropriation act running currently. Even as we know very well, the National Assembly passed such appropriation bill into law, and Mr. President has sanctioned it sometime around July last year, and it started running out sometime around August. So is there no appropriation? So if you also looked at why would you also spend extra budgetary, why would he be making expenses, stuff like that, and you look around in that appropriation, you have a provision for contingency, and the law allows him to spend in anything he deemed to be contingent. Look at it. So they have no strong footing in their argument. It's pure politics. It's pure political. They know why they are doing what they are acting script. And this person who engineered or orchestrated this impeachment had alluded to it in some quarters. Of course, Wike did say something about that. And for them, they would not want him to get more grants. Fubara seems to be getting grants, seems to be covering mileage, seems to be closing ranks. And if he's allowed to continue, it means that he will definitely take over the structure of the party. The national leadership of the party has said that the governor is the leader of the party in that very state. And it cannot be different from what they have in other states. So the APC national chairman has said so. Even the national secretary, many of them have made such comments. And if you talk about Bashiru, he must sign your nomination form unless he's removed. And he has a tenure that will run to 2027 after the election. For those who thought that he will be leaving next year, no. And I've said it the last time we were here. So the issue is, these lawmakers, they are weighing their pros and cons. They know they would want to come back, but how are we going to come back? And even when Mr. President is silent, they don't even know who has the ears of Mr. President again. Our boss and our savior and master Wike, has he to the ears of the president? Is Mr. President listening to him? Because during the other time they had many meetings convened by agents of Mr. President, so they were assured no assurance is coming from anywhere, from any quarter. If we follow him blindly, what of all of us perish alongside with him? He has achieved his mark in politics, and many of them believe they have not reached their political targets, so they cannot cut their political lifespan by following Wike blindly. So they calculated everything. More we follow. Remember, I did say the last time we were here, there are 26 of them in number. 22 is required for any meaningful impeachment. The impeachment notice, they will convene today, the lawmakers. They are going to convene today. So we are going to see if they will have the two-third majority to cause the Chief Judge of River State to set up investigative panel. So they will do that today. But don't be surprised that one more may pull, and if one more pulls out, it is void. They can do it with 21 members, but they can do it with 22 members. And there is also an issue of no impeachment notice service. Government House has said that Fubara has not been served. The lawmakers are saying they have been served. they should go back to what happened to Rashidi Ladoja when he was impeached by Oyo State House of Assembly. And if you look at that very impeachment that happened many years ago, that was around January 12, 2006. And Supreme Court nullified it, and it was one of the grounds Supreme Court nullified that impeachment sometime around 2009 and ordered immediate reinstatement of Ladoja because Ladoja was not personally served. They pasted it at the government house. They did some advertorial on newspaper, national dailies. They published some of these things there. But the Supreme Court found those things as not sufficient enough. Those services, according to Supreme Court, in 2009, when it was delivering the landmark ruling, those services were not sufficient. So it was not in accordance with section 188, subsection 2. So they should also borrow a leaf from some of these developments in the past. They had gone to publish impeachment on national dailies, but that's not what the service should be. So we are looking at evolving political drama. It's a dramatic state, there's no doubt. And it seems that Fubara is adding to his weight. I looked at what Peter Odili said the other day. He said Fubara is the political leader in the state. Wherever he goes, they go. Wherever he stays, they stay. Wherever he is, they will be. Didn't you see the video clip? He made that very statement recently. Was it a day or 2 days ago? And you had likes of Celestine Omer, Uche Secondus. There are so many political actors, big political actors, who have sided Fubara in that very state. And Mr. President would not like to lose their support. And these people have said if Fubara has chosen to support Mr. President, they will all support Mr. President. They will all work with Mr. President. Wherever Fubara goes, they will go. Wherever he is, they would be. Wherever he stays, they will stay. So that is Peter Odili. And they are doing that in sharp contrast to Wike's movement. And Wike seems to be losing members. 2 gone. The other day, on 12th of January. Yesterday, 2 again, gone. And now more would follow.
And then it would take to third for this to even be ascended to the
That's what I'm saying, that if one more person pulls out, the impeachment is over. And
to third?
To third is 22.
To third of 20...
32.
They are supposed to be 27.
They are 32 in number.
32 in number.
And out of that 32, if you do mathematics, 32 divided by 3 multiplied by 2, it should be, it will
somewhere
give you
around
21 point something.
21
point something. So
20.
that 21 point something, you don't count human being as fractions. So you must approximate to the nearest.
So you do 22.
So 22.
Yes.
So what it means that they are 22 now. But if one more person pulls out, they will be 21. So it means that they cannot even go on to even ask the chief judge to set up investigative panel. And at the same time, chief judge may also query the service. Query the service. It's another thing.
That brings me to something, Tony. Looking at the reputation of this house, Tony, you know how powerful a state house of assembly is supposed to be. You know how instrumental they're supposed to be in checking and balancing the executive, which is what they masked this impeachment as. But with the way things are going, what would this do to the reputation of Rivers State House of Assembly? Would they even be taken seriously going forward?
They have never been serious. They have been political puppets, political stooges. They have been political foot soldiers of their political godfather. Majority of them, that's what they are. And I have called them, they are hungry. That's what they are. And they know nothing about legislation. I have seen what they are brandishing, some of the things they have done, and I've been able to observe with keen interest. I'm not here to hold brief for Fubara. I'm not siding Fubara, but I'm just telling you that these young men, many of them have been in the legislature for some time. I think like the speaker, Martin Ambehule, who was first elected in that very assembly in 2011. So somebody who had been there since 2011 should know his onions, should have caught his teeth in this game, in this business. But that hasn't been the case. He has been promised to be the governor. Remember, he's from Obiakpo local government. So the same local government Wike is from. So he has been promised to succeed Fubara. So, but other legislators who are following him, of course, this man, if the whole game plan works, he has something to gain.
What about us?
What about us? Some have been promised deputy speaker, majority leader, and some other what do you call it? Some other appointments or positions that have been offered, but some will prefer something bigger. And they're also weighing their time, weighing their chances. If the national leadership of the, you know that national leadership of the party can dissolve the state ESCO. They have power to dissolve the state ESCO and set up a caretaker committee that will see to the primaries. That's the power of national leadership of the party. Don't joke with that power. So when they saw the statement coming from the national angle, they thought that APC is PDP. That before you know it, they can balkanize, they can raise up a faction. You cannot raise a factional APC in River State under the watch of Mr. You cannot try that. But if they were in PDP, if PDP dissolved their ESCO and put up a caretaker committee, they will also put up another faction. And they will start going to court. Under Tinubu, you cannot do that. So they know very well that their chances are limited. They are not, forget what they come out to tell you. They have listened to elders, respected elders. Didn't the elders spoke to you when you were doing 2.0? Didn't the elders spoke to you when you were doing impeachment 1.0? So now the elders have started speaking to you under impeachment 3.0. Forget those reasons they are giving. They are weighing their chances. And many of them are making good political projections. So they know very well that if they follow Wiki blindly, and where Mr. President seems to be silent in all of this, where are we? And they prefer to be on the fence. All these people, they wanted to be on the fence, but they will come out and tell you, oh, Pubara has breached certain provisions in the constitution, and that is not the best way to go. Try to be on the fence, because the party has told them that they are not in support of the impeachment. The party, the APC, has communicated to them to withdraw such impeachment. Yes. And they wouldn't want to go against the party. And going against the party directives, you know the consequence. The consequence, you come back for primaries, right? You want to go back. Nige will not be minister forever. That's the point.
Okay, Tony. How can the Rivers people ensure that this political drama doesn't continue, knowing that it is obviously not genuinely in the interest of the Rivers people?
It can only discontinue when the actors are called to the order. Or
who
when
calls them to order?
Mr. President has whatever it takes to come wicked to order and allow the governor to work.
Okay.
It's very simple.
So that's the only way out.
Allow the governor to work. And we've seen political godfatherism, the effects, the damaging effect of such tendency, such anomaly. We have seen it time without number. And we are no more. I remember those days we were told that in our nascent democracy, we are having experimental democracy. A democracy from 1999 till date is no more experimental. It's no more nascent. So everybody should know what the whole thing is all about. This impeachment of a thing, somebody trying to be a political godfather. Look at it. There's something happening in Kano. Kwankwaso is being given a knock by his political son, Yusuf. Many never knew that when Kwankwaso was in the Federal House of Representatives in the Second Republic, when he was in the Federal House of Representatives, when he was even in the leadership position of that very house, Yusuf, a young copper, became his personal assistant. He, from Kano State, he chose him as his personal assistant, and he has been working with him. In 1999, when he became governor, from 1999 to 2003, the same Yusuf again was his special assistant on many things. He changed positions over time, even when they were voted out of power by his political rival, who was there for 2 consecutive terms. He became Minister of Defense under Olusegun Obasanjo, the same Yusuf. So Yusuf has been with Kwankwaso. Even in 2019, Yusuf was put up to challenge Ganduje. And we know he won that election. And you know how Ganduje won the second time. At the first round, Yusuf was winning. They just declared some areas inconclusive and ordered for
a rerun
election. And they used police and security agencies to intimidate that rerun election. That was how Ganduje was able to edge Yusuf in 2019. But in 2023, it was a different ball game. So Yusuf has always been with Ganduje. But Kwankwaso, he has always been with him from 1992 till date. But what is going on now? He has served him very well. it is now time for him to be independent as a man. And that's why he has chosen to join APC against the wishes of his political godfather. And his political godfather has been telling him, look at what happened to others. If you do that which you want to do, look at the consequence. The man told him, I have served you enough. So let me be independent now. Somebody who has served somebody from 1992, hasn't he paid his dues? So they are just trying to break that genes of political godfatherism in Kano. The same thing is happening in the River State. So if you allow somebody to get into a place of position or power, allow the person to work.
So what is the lesson here for other states, especially where political godfatherism is still thriving? I mean, look at the fact that because of political godfatherism, a man has been made to work with people, quote and unquote, his enemies. Because I don't see how people would come to work with you, Tony, and everything they do is to find fault in everything you do and to make sure that, I mean, the fact that they've been dragging this man back and forth would distract him from the core duty of governing River State. And at the end of the day, what would he have to point to that he achieved during his days in office? You get my point. So what lesson should people who are also coming up in the political scene learn from this?
We allowed godfatherism to thrive. If you look at some of these godfathers, Wike, for instance, he used River State resources to enthrone Fubara. Not that he used his personal resources. You allowed this because if you had monitored funds during elections, if we can find a way to cut off state resources being used for elections, it is doable, it is trackable, it is implementable. We can do it. This rubbish will stop. If you want to run for election, funding and every other thing will be well and strictly monitored, where you can get yourself crowdfunded, and in such crowdfunding there is limit to what you can spend as a candidate. There is a limit to what you can spend. These things, we have some of these things in our laws, but they are not implementable, they are not actionable, and nobody monitors that, and nobody goes on to see. But that is one. And secondly, look at the whole thing. It asks what one could call Fubara's achievement. He would tell you, I'm doing roads, I'm doing hospitals, I'm doing that, but he has distractions. He has distractions. Most times his movements are to find out that he outwit his political opponent, his political foe. That's what he has been scheming. Time that will be used to do one thing or the other. And they have not seen development as expected. They have not. So the people keep suffering. Whenever these people fight, JT, they keep suffering. But these things are things we have allowed to be in our system. We allowed it. Politicians allowed it. They are the ones that determine what becomes law, that will even govern the activities, govern the way they do things. So they allow it. For me, I have said it many times that there is a lot we can change in this country unless we are not serious and we have not shown that commitment. And look at what is going on in River State. We have seen that in Anambra State, we have seen that in Enugu State, we have seen that in Abia State, we have seen that in many states. They have all fought godfatherism. They have many states, even in some northern states, even in your state. What brought to the issue of impeachment of Ladoja, I pointed out, was it not Adelebu, the political godfather of that very state, who, for whatever reason, has, in fact, during his time, he had decreed that a portion or sizable chunk of state resources will be channeled to his private coffers, because he brought everybody. He brought Ladoja, he brought Alakala, he brought so many of them. And even Obasanjo also supported such move. I remember when he told Ladoja that he must be paying homage. That's when we learned that political homage is when you go back and then pay the tithe you are supposed to pay. Political tithe. So Ladoja, at one point or the other, decided not to pay. Today, he's the Olubadan of Ibadan Kingdom. But he challenged the powers that be at his time. And Adelebu decreed for his impeachment. When he was impeached, Alakala took over. But we saw how it ended. So nobody is learning from that political history. Nobody. But you find out that some of these godfathers succeed most times if they have the support of the presidency, as it was in the case of Adelabu. Obasanjo explicitly supported him. And now the impeachment 2.0 we saw in River State, the president of Bola Ahmed Tinubu explicitly supported Wike during the impeachment 2.0. But nobody can say if the support is still there under this impeachment 3.0.
All right, then let's take a break now. Attend to a commercial. Once we come back, we shift gears. I mean, it says 60 years today since the first military coup in Nigeria, the very first. And you agree with me that it is quite significant in our history and how things eventually panned out and how we got here. I mean, some of the issues that plagued Nigeria pre the coup, post independence, are still some of the issues that we fight with as a people. How is this said? I think in one of the songs, one of those Igbo songs, something about Watatote Okudo. You know, the things that we were just told of, we are now experiencing them. We take a look at that right after this break. Do stay.
Station in the world.
You're listening to Udala Radio.
Is right here, right now.
104.7 Udala Radio.
Nepa don't take light again. Wetin I fit do? Every day fuel don cost. How person wan take survive? I go cook soup today, tomorrow e go sour.
My people, why you dey stress when the sun dey your head for free? Switch to the affordable solar energy wey Wascana Solar Company dey give small businesses and homes across Naija, whether na barbing salon o, restaurant o, supermarket o, or your 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. Wascana Solar get correct durable solar wey go serve you wella. No more NEPA wahala, no more expensive fuel. Let the sun power your business and home for free. And no forget o, solar fans, solar lights, everything dey available. Call Wascana Solar now for 0806 374 2374. I repeat am, 0806 374 2374, or send email to waskanasolar@gmail.com. Visit their office near Olive Relief after Marble Hill School Junction, Okpanam Road, Asaba, or Classic Line Zone 2, A4 Electrical Dealers International Market, Obosi. Wascana Solar, Okumube.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region. Where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
The headline of this story on the Vanguard newspaper is 60 years after why Nzogu coup was inevitable. Major General IBM Haruna. This is the major headline. This is the major story rather on today's Vanguard newspaper. Actually made it to the front page, and that is because 60 years today, the first coup to ever happen in Nigeria happened, and of course it actually brought Nigeria to a turning point that has altered its course in the past years. And that coup was led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu. And according to what we have in the history books, it did more than just overthrowing the First Republic. It introduced the military into Nigerian governance and politics instead of a chain of events that eventually led to counter coups, a civil war, and what we have eventually had now to become decades of unstable rule in Nigeria. And of course, Major General Babangida Haruna, retired, is actually of the opinion that Zogu coup was inevitable. Some persons have actually asked the questions of what actually makes that coup inevitable, Tony. Why would someone say that that coup could not have been avoided?
The coup was largely inevitable, as many people have said, for those who followed a lot during that very period in time. And we saw how everything happened the way it happened. And some of the things that led to that very coup, they are still happening under our eyes as we speak today.
You'd mind itemizing those things?
If you look at the first thing that actually led to the coup, because according to the 5 majors, I think 4 and then 1 captain, but they refer themselves as 5 majors that carried out that very coup. They looked at widespread corruption and nepotism among political leaders. If you look at the political terrain as at that time, ministers and officials lived extravagantly, with reports of embezzlement and bribery being rampant in the federal and regional governments. In fact, Major Nzogu in his post-coup broadcast explicitly targeted political profiteers and corrupt ministers who amassed wealth at the public expense. For instance, the Northern People's Congress NPC government under Balewa was accused of favoritism in awarding contracts and positions to allies, exacerbating poverty in a resource-rich nation. In fact, this disillusionment was widespread as evidenced by public frustration with the First Republic's elite. So the issue of corruption, widespread, extravagant lifestyle, and profiteering of public funds through awards of shenanigan contracts. These things were one of the things cited by the coup plotters. You also look at issue of electoral fraud and rigged elections. Remember the 1964 federal elections and also the 1965 Western Region elections. These elections were rigged, were marred by blatant violence and intimidation, leading to a loss of faith in even a democratic process. Let me give an instance, because if you look at the 1965 Western Region elections, the Nigerian National Alliance NNA, the party so adopted by Chief Ladoke Akintola, remember the problem they had in AG Action Group, which led to its split. So Ladoke Akintola opted for Nigerian National Alliance. This party was accused of manipulating results to favor the candidate Akintola over Chief Obafemi Awolowo's Action Group. This election sparked riot. You remember the riot? It was known as Operation Wetty. Wet with petrol, referring to arson attacks on opponents. So that third riot in history was known well as Operation Wetty. Wet everything. And if you want to wet, you wet with what? Petrol. And if you look at that violence, it claimed hundreds of lives. So it tells a lot of stories about government inability to ensure fair pools. So since then, have you seen any change in credible pools in Nigeria? Did we learn any lesson out of that? Did we learn any lesson on the issue of corruption and profiteering and the kind of contracts awarded? You also look at issue of ethnic and regional imbalances and tensions, because if you look at the federal structure as at that time, it was amplified by ethnic rivalries, with the North dominating politics despite economic contributions from the South, which fostered such resentment. If you look at the 1962 to 1963 census, you know it was disputed. That census figure was disputed with accusations that northern figures were contrived, inflated to maintain political dominance in the federal parliament. You also look at the TV uprising in 1964 down to 1965 in the Middle Belt, which involved ethnic clashes, though suppressed by the military as at that time. So it highlighted this regional imbalance, regional tension, and other things one can think of. And you also look at issue of politicization and misuse of the military. The army was increasingly used to suppress internal dissent, eroding its professionalism and drawing officers into politics. I'll give you an example. How soldiers were deployed to quell the TV riots and Western regions unrest, which the coup plotters saw as degrading the military's role. So there were efforts to Nigerianize the officer corps post-independence which led to the ethnic stratification. So if you look at that, the Southern, especially most officers, feeling marginalized despite their qualifications after the whole crisis. So you also look at the issue of ideological motivation and desire for reform. The plotters were influenced by progressive ideas and aimed to install Chief Obafemi Awolowo as the president. That was their mission. The coup plotters, their aim, their objective, their thought, they were aiming at reform. They saw how Awolowo was treated, how he was incarcerated, how he was charged, how he was tried for treasonable felony, and things that followed it, even alongside likes of my very good friend. So all these things were what led to the first coup. January 15 is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Nigeria, and I had wanted to start with that. And that 15th of January is a significant day in the history of this country, majorly on two major fronts. One, the first coup that happened in Nigeria, the first military coup, happened on January 15, 1966. It was the same January 15 that the Biafran soldiers surrendered to Nigeria, that ended the civil war. That was in 1970. So you find out that these two historic events happened on January 15. But why we chose it as the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is not because of the coup that happened. It was as a result of that end to the civil war we had in Nigeria. So it's a momentous day in the history of this very country, anytime, anywhere. Because I know there are countries in the world that chose different days as the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Many of them chose November 11, and we know why November 11 appears on many countries' calendar. It was the armistice that ended the fighting in Europe, the First World War. The First World War, actually came to naught. If you go to the calendar, you see the United States of America, they have November 11, as they call it Veterans Day or the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. So it ended the fighting in Europe that took effect on November 11, 1918. So if you go to United Kingdom, for them, November 11, World War ended on November 11, 1918. If you go to Canada chose November 11. The same reason. Even Australia, November 11. France, November 11. Belgium, many of these countries, except likes of China, that shows September 30 as their own Veterans Day or Armed Forces Remembrance Day, or India, December 7, based on the Armed Forces Flag Day, though their own is not tied to any war but honors those who died in major conflicts such as Indo-Pakistani War and some other war like Kargil War and all that. So different countries had their different days, but Nigeria, for us, today is a day set aside to remember our fallen heroes and those in the service, men and women in service. Time to remember them, time to appreciate them. That is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We've seen interdenominational church services on Sunday in some states to commemorate, but we are also looking at how many years now? 60 years after the first military coup by the five majors. The truth remains that Major Emmanuel, because the very coup was led by Nzogu alongside Major Emmanuel Ifajuna, very popular during the Civil War, Major Chris Aduforo, Major John Okafor, Major Adewale Ademoyoga, and also Captain Ben Bule. The coup happened 15th of January 1966. And
okay.
I have enumerated some of the causes, something that led to that. We know how some people were targeted, some ministers were targeted. The truth remains that the finance minister, Okotie, we remember he was killed during that very coup. He was one of the targets. He was the most frequently cited symbol of extravagance, Okotie. You know why I know that very name? When we were in secondary school, I had a classmate. He was known as Okotiebo. Today, he's a magistrate. In fact, when we were in secondary school, the name we gave him during my set, we called him Okotiebo because of the kind of panache he was actually coming to school with. We called him Okotiebo, and that to tell you that whenever you call Okotiebo in that political sense, is a symbol of
extravagance,
something like that.
So Tony, while all of these things are very clear, and going back history lane, the major question everybody would be asking is, are we about to repeat the same mistakes, or are we leaving the same mistakes that led to the first coup in the first place? Over the past few years, we've had different countries in Africa fall to military rule. There were allegations that there was an attempt late last year here in Nigeria, and as much as the federal government denied that, we saw soldiers arrested. And some people within the military ranks strongly say that that coup was planned. Maybe not attempted, but there was a plan in the first place. And the same reasons are still given. The same mistakes that our forefathers. This is like the problems, like I said earlier. You get it? Most of these things, my father had to, was barely a child. He had to be told. And then here I am, having to also leave these same errors that led to this coup. The coups eventually, not even one. I mean, the first happened today 60 years ago, but it subsequently led to other coups. And my child is living the consequences of these same errors that led to this same coup. Who knows? Maybe my child's child or my child's children might also have to live through the same errors. And then I have to ask you as a Nigerian, what is really wrong with us? Why are we not fixing us?
The truth remains that these problems we are having, these problems, we are the creation of the colonial masters, but we cannot blame them. If somebody created something and possibly left after that, you have the time to amend quite a lot of things. So we are not going to blame them because they really poisoned the minds of the North against East.
But then they went in trying to poison generations after generations. And so who is going to break the jinx of this poisoning?
And that's just that. And that's why some people will tell you from now to eternity that we are not one, that Britain brought people with different ideology, this and that, but we are once living like one, but they brought all these things, but we are not going to blame them. So we are still living in some of the things that caused the first military coup. I had taken time to study the ministers. Remember, the First Republic, the cabinet was an alliance between the MPC, led by Ahmadu Bello, and NCNC, led by Azikiwe. So if you look at members of the cabinet and how many of them we are making profiteers designated by Nzobo, these people were reformers. You look at, apart from Minister of Finance, I know very well Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jaja Wachuku, from NNCNC, but he was later replaced there, no doubt. I know Muhammadu Ribadu from MPC. I think he died in 1965, but was later replaced by Inuwa Wada. I also know about transportation, Zana Buka, Commerce, Mbadiwe, Commerce and Trade from NCNC, Education, Richard Akinjide from, I think, NNDP, and also Internal Affairs, Usman Sariki, Health, and so many of them. Communication was Raymond Njoku. Information, I know about Benson and also Rusiji, and so many of them. These are some of the cabinet members during the First Republic. How did they live? How did they perform? What really stirred the minds of these young military men to say, no, we will not continue this way? A lot of things happened. They were not seeing the benefit of tax paying. Maybe a lot happened. There was revenue generation. We discovered oil. They were not seeing the development as expected. What they were seeing were those in government not just being content creators, but at the same time living lavishly. they were not concerned about those involved. And apart from issue of widespread corruption, which I've mentioned, and some kind of contracts being awarded, you also look at regional tension, the need for government at the center to focus on governance, leave subnational politics, as we saw in that weighty riot I explained about. If you look at the problem, started with the ideological, strategic, and personal differences between Awolowo and his, would I say, political son. I will say it anytime, any day, that Akintola Ladoke was a political son to Awolowo, no doubt. But we saw that rift where Sir Chief Samuel Akintola started closing ranks, collaborating with Balewa, as against the ideological standpoint of the party that brought him to power. That was when political parties were driven by ideology. So, and the meddlesomeness of the federal government at that time into regional politics exacerbated the whole thing, caused regional tension, caused the rigging of 1965 election in that very region. A lot happened, brought about the riot. Then the riot led to the issue of treason, trial, and so many things, and incarceration of Awolowo. And that also brought a lot of big gap in the system. The way and manner it was handled by the government of Balewa was not the proper way that he could have managed that, and it led to a lot. Remember, Awolowo, the founder and the leader of the Action Group, who served as the first prime minister, the premier, not prime minister, to the Western region from 1954 to 1959 before he went to the federal politics. So we know what he did then, but Akintola, being his political son and was also a co-founder of that very party, he served as Awolowo's deputy and legal advisor, and he was even a key figure in the party. And he also held federal ministerial roles like health, communications, aviation before becoming the premier of the way. In fact, Awolowo served him the premiership a la carte, hoping that he would succeed him. But a lot happened because you can also see or draw similarities between what is going on between Wike and Fubara to what happened between Awolowo and Akintola. But in their own case, there was an ideological standpoint, but in this case, it was a case of politics, somebody who is fighting over supremacy. There was also a supremacy battle. At the point, in fact, they tried to exile Awolowo from Action Group, and they formed the parallel one. There was bifurcation. There was factions of Action Group. But it ended up that this man had to leave to another party, but then they rigged the election. There's no doubt. And it was one of the things that triggered that very January 15, 1966 coup. So we can go on those things. We are still living with those things now. Are you going to talk about the use of military, the way and manner they were used? So the point remains that for those who term that very coup as Igbo coup, and remember it led to the counter coup of July 28, 1966. We saw what happened. We saw how Girosu was murdered. It brought a lot of divisions, ethnic divisions in this country. A lot happened. We have endured a lot.
All right, we've endured a lot, Tony. So what mechanisms do you think we should be putting in place to mitigate a further breakdown?
We've seen situations whereby, as we speak today, the Southeast has been politically, economically,
alienated,
and socially marginalized. Why haven't we shifted on how to open up other areas, avenues, and opportunities around the country to make Nigeria a great country? Why are we so dependent on Tinkan Island and some of these are Apapa, Wharf, and so many other things? Everything begins and ends with Lagos. Why don't we want to decentralize our revenue systems? Most times I have taken time to look at states at the coastal lines. We have states like Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Cross River. These states are along the coastal line, Atlantic Ocean. We're not doing anything to open such horizon, to open up such places for businesses. We are not doing that. We are not doing that. And look at where we are. A portrait sum of about $35 billion as year revenue for entire year. We are countries like Kenya, smaller countries, make more revenue than Nigeria, and we cannot solve our problems in area of health, education, security, and so many things. Our leaders are so much concerned about how to hold power, how to get to power, and sit tight, not to develop. That's what they are interested in. Look at the country rich in mineral resources, human resources, in everything. Look at where we are. We are backward, very backward. That's where we are. Allowing ethnicism to be a parameter for who becomes what or who gets what, not on the altar of meritocracy, on the issue of capacity, what somebody can bring to bear. It's a sad development, there's no doubt. It's a sad development.
Really, really sad. And rounding off the conversation now, before we open up the phone lines, Tony, ASU and the FG, they've reached new agreements. We are learning that the lecturers, professors precisely, are going to be getting at least 1.8 million on top of what they earn yearly. While some persons are applauding that, you look by international standards, it's just barely there. We're also learning that the federal government is giving Johetsu workers a no work, no pay policy. And TUC is asking that be retracted immediately, or they are going to go on strike. And I'm curious to find out when we're going to stop having this back and forth, especially when critical sectors like the health sector are involved, Tony.
And we have said it many times, we must learn how to manage tension, learn how to manage disputations or disagreements occasioned by failures or inability to do what we are supposed to do. We must learn how to take care of those things. And I've seen from time to time this brandishment of no work, no pay being a way to make the metal to bend. You must bend by force. So for me, it is not the best way to go. I have said it time with that number that look at some of these people. If you talk about Johetsu now, we know the kind of work they render, but we know that very well that very sector is not just developed but neglected. So the no work no pay directive will definitely escalate a 2-month strike that already strained healthcare services, potentially leading to shutdowns in some hospitals, worsening patient outcomes amid Nigeria's economic woes. Inflation over 30%, fuel price hike. And if you look at TUC's strong stance, which frames it as a gross abuse of power and unpatriotic, arguing that it violates industrial relations norms by halting salaries during active negotiations. So I have said it many times, that's not the best way to go. It's a systemic issue in Nigeria's labor landscape. Disparities between doctors under Nigerian Medical Association and other health workers, delayed delayed salary adjustment, government reliance on punitive measures over dialogue. See, we must find a way to resolve some of these things. I believe that the Tinubu administration labor relations should be something well improved. Resolutions, definitely, I have said it, if two parties are contesting for one thing, you can't stay on that very front. If you're going for dialogue, you must be able to shift a bit, no doubt. So I'm looking at resolution which also might require concessions on contest parity with doctor salaries. The Johetsu people that say, look at what medical doctors are paid. It's just like Ronaldo earning, I don't know how much Ronaldo earns now, but let me use Liverpool as a case study, where Mohamed Salah earns over 400 and something thousand euros per week. And you look at others who also contribute to the development of their very club, earning as little as £30,000, £40,000, and one player earns 400 and something. That's the case of medical doctors and these people. That is, so they are not saying they want to earn as much as these doctors are earning. No, they are saying the gap is so much, so widening that apart from the medical doctors, what would the money even do? So That disparity is something that must be looked into. We've said it many times. They need to also map out some proactive dispute mechanism to safeguard disruption of essential services. I think that we should do things in the right way. The idea of no work, no pay and stuff like that, for me, shouldn't be. It should not be the case. In the case of Joyce, it should not be.
Okay. Finally, quickly, Tony, I'd like you to speak on this U.S. Department announcement that has suspended immigration visa processing for 75 countries, Nigeria inclusive. And of course, this measure is expected to take effect from January 21st and be an indefinite thing until these measures are revised.
Every country has prerogative to shape their immigration policy the way they want.
Absolutely.
Bees. The bees, they go where there is what? Honey. There's no doubt. So they have made the country to be what it is. That many countries or migrants across different countries would like to come to their country for one thing or the other. And for them, that's not what they want. The kind of migrants we have in Nigeria, they are from Chad, Niger Republic. Ghanaians have left. Many of them are no more here. Nigerians are the one migrating to Ghana. Don't be surprised. Nigerians are migrating to Niger Republic. We are migrating to Chad. That is because we have made our place to be what it is. What the reformers, I call those coup plotters, though I never supported coup. Those 5 majors, Zogo and Foro and so many of them, they had wanted Nigeria to be like United States of America. That's their dream. But it was cautioned because the coup, remember, it was successful in Kaduna and some part of the north, but it was foiled in Lagos. And the main person that foiled it in Lagos was Aguirre. He made sure that the coup was foiled. People who are historians, I've seen most of the things that I've written, they would not also mention that Aguirre led forces to foil the coup. When they were terminating Igbo coup, an Igbo man stopped it. Also, they would know that. But we are not talking about that. That's not what we are here. But those reformers were targeting Nigeria to be like United States of America.
So your point is Nigeria should be made better.
And we are not doing anything to make it better.
Unfortunately. We take a break now, some more commercial, and then we come back, open up the phone lines, and then you can join the conversation. Keep it locked. It's the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, I'll pack it on the Tosialo. Wendy's bread, Mama, Papa, they like Wendy's bread, kitchen and do. Wendy's bread, even children, they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's here, about chichon.
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Misha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
The numbers to call are 0803-221-6973, 082827-6694. You can drop your comment on Facebook. It is Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Hello, good morning. Are you there? Hello. Good morning. Okay, you should try to reconnect. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister Catholic is.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Yes, thank you for your nice analysis. Yes, Lisambeki, please, I want to ask. First question is, why is it that the British that came find favor in the northern part of the country, and that makes them to support them? And that thing they did is because of the problem in Nigeria. Maybe because what they impute in those north are still what is reacting on them today. So, what was the crime of the Easterners to the Western world or those British people? That is my number one question to you. Then, I want to also say, Nigeria, the way it is going, like you say, we don't support you. But I think something must be done in this country. Because, like you said it, before in the early 80s, Ghanaians, they are the people that are polishing shoes and doing all this manual job, menial job here in this country. But now, you can see, even they are driving Nigeria out of their country, they don't see what to see Nigeria in their country, Ghana, here. Then you can see, like, a country like this Niger, and so on, where this queue was done. You can see that they are doing well. Then I want to ask, what as we don't support you, military leaders in this country, can we fold our arms like this, continue to complain? We have oil in quantum. There is no good education, no good road, no good light. Nothing is doing. No sector is doing well. Can we fold our arms and continue like this? Thank you and God bless.
Aha. My name is Batmos. I'm calling from Newe. First of all, point of correction. Ghana is not better than Nigeria. The economy of Lagos State is bigger than the Ghana, Niger, Sudan, Chad put together. Only the economy of Lagos State. How much was the budget of Ghana for 2026? How much is the budget of Lagos State? So let's stop beating the bush. All these guys are just, they are not equal to us. We are like elephants while they are like cockroaches to us. So you can't compare Ghana to Nigeria. It's like comparing the United States with Jamaica. Now, let me go straight to the point. The issue of Joe. The way I'm seeing this threat or the so-called strike or yet to be embarked strike or whatever, I'm seeing it as they are envying the doctors. As I'm talking to you now, the bag of rice has fallen down. I think a bag of rice is now 5,000 naira. So what are they complaining? Food stuff has fallen down in the market. And what they are now saying is they are now saying that the doctor gap is, do they know what it takes to train a doctor? Just like Tony said, in a football club, there is a player that his salary and allowances is more than 10 players. So that's it. So they cannot say because a doctor is earning 1 million naira and they are earning 150,000, that if the gap is much, can they do what the doctor is doing? Do they know how much it takes to train a doctor in hospital? And one thing I want to point out here is that Tony Sambeki was unable to tell us the gap in the other countries like the United States and UK when it comes to doctor and nurses. Although we don't have nurses here, what we have here is not. So I want to know what is the difference, what is the gap in the United States and other senior clients between their doctor and their nurse there. How much is the difference? What is the disparity there? I want to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tony, did you get that question? Would you want to answer now or later? Okay, then. Let's take some more calls and then he would answer your question later on. Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Speaker Tony Mbeki. Good morning.
Good morning, you're welcome.
This is Honorable Monday Johnson. I have just one question. I took time to listen to your analysis on the military regime, the what do you call it, the coup that gave birth to January 1st military or whatever remembrance. Tony, please, I want to know what is the major reason why people do not like to mention or align themselves with military government? Is it because there is no military man or uniformed man that can manage the affairs of the country with democratic and the sympathetic principles? Or is it because there is this standing rule under military regime that if Bonde Johnson, who is sympathetic, who wants to manage the affairs of the country in a way that people will rejoice, the moment I no longer see as a military leader, head of state, that standing rule under military will change me as a person. Because I've fought over this over and over. People that I have listened to, majority of the political pundits, they will come out powerful and condemn military government. Please, Tony, make me understand why it is so. Good morning.
All right, then. Good morning to you. Tony, are you taking a note of the question? Would you answer the...
No, I'm taking
Okay, all right. Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning, chief, my sister. Good morning, my speaker.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
I did the voice of Honorable Ignition Sokwe from our Asian Kingdom.
Go ahead, please.
I listened to the analysis very well. I had all what you said about what causes the civil war and all those things. Well, he said the truth. And the teacher asked me a question. That thing that happened that is this year now and after where that is still happening now. Because let me make it clear. I participated in the civil war. I fought in the war in the different side. I know why I went to the war. After the war, they said 3R. That 3R, they implement it. It's not implemented up to today. Even I want to work, what is that I want to work? I want to work, it was here in prison. I was the Igbo safety. And when he went to, he became the minister of finance in Nigeria. He's the one who introduced 20 pounds to give it to Igbos, to bring us down, to maintain us. But the God of Igbos did not allow that. See where we are now. What I'm trying to say here is plenty is happening. Yesterday we spoke about this bondage at home. You made a statement that really I agree with you on the side. But Nigeria should know that a psychological impact is one the statute is giving to our young ones, children, what causes this at home. Igbo man was taken to court, jail, without any court. They intimidated us. So that thing is doing work hard against Nigeria in future. Because I said it before, what leads me to go to the war is still happening today. I know you said it too. So Nigeria has not learned their lesson how to handle things. Igbos are a very tribe, very special tribe in the whole world. That if Nigeria allow Igbos to be, Nigeria would be better than America itself. But they do not want.
is just that today, Igbos and Northerners allied together than the West because of one reason. They are competing as a competing way of living by the Southwest and the Easterners. They say we are wise. That is the claim that are wise. That makes us not to stay together. Let me stop here so far, but thank you.
All right then. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry,
Good morning.
very interesting conversation.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I would like to listen. I want to ask, sorry, has our military failed?
Your network is a bit messy. Would you please move around a bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better. It's a lot better now.
Good. Has our military failed? Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, have we failed, Tony? What has happened? Have we failed? So much so that we have to bring someone from another country to come and help us in our security. Has our military failed? God bless Nigeria.
Right then. You can drop your comment on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. We're still taking your calls. 0803-221-6973. Hello there. Yes, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Tony.
You're welcome.
So, it's me, I'm calling from Ombon.
Let's hear you, please.
And whatever that happened with that this group is still happening today. I don't know why the Nigerian politicians are, I don't know why they are evil and wicked, because they don't consider the people they are leading. You understand? Ukotebo, let me tell you, my father will say, Ukotebo was the main reason why these people boys tended to know the line of those of his supported lifestyle. You understand? And it's still happening today. I wish our politicians would sit down and tell themselves, are they doing the right thing? Are people looking for this governance? Okay, now look at what America is about to do. So blocking Nigeria coming to their country. Why can't this reach our country? The main reason for this people, this 2 years ago, was that they wanted Nigeria to be a better place. But it's still not happening. And I don't know why our leaders are not telling the truth. What they only care about is the election. How to hold on to full office for a very long time. Any other thing doesn't happen. Nigeria is taking for every day by day, not in the street at all. This is for government, for governance. It happens that I wish our politicians would tell themselves the truth and bring the drawing and go to the drawing table and make sure that whatever they are doing it makes masses to relax and also enjoy governance. Thank you.
All right then. Thank you for your contribution. 0803-221-6973. Hello, good morning. Are you there? Hello.
Yes, I'm there.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Christian Kennedy.
Good morning to you
I'm in the studio. Good morning.
You're welcome.
I'm from the Metro, with you from Onitsha this morning. This Nigeria is celebrating Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and it has been a yearly ritual for us. And it is sad enough to see it as just a ceremonial event, other than for a reflection, a deep reflection to be made about our fallen heroes, about even the military, armed forces, how they have failed over the years, how they have come thus far, and a review being made on why the heroes who failed, whether the reason why they failed was avoidable, so as to forestall other heroes from falling. I look back and nostalgia about the plight of our armed forces I remember the 300 and something soldiers that were court-martialed that was recently they were even acquitted. They were released on that humanitarian ground. And what we are learning on is inequipment and inequipment of our military and how their lives are being put in danger. So you see, and I think that this kind of Remembrance Day will be a time the nation will look at what has caused several of our heroes to fall. And also review even the recklessness of the military. Over the years, during the military regime, we see how the military handled this nation. And one of our listeners called and was asking, is there not a way when a military man can rule with a mindset for the people? And that question is being left in open. So I think it's a deeper thought for us to x-ray these things every year's Remembrance Day, so as to better our future in this nation. So for me, I think it's just ceremonial, just ceremonial, do parade, and the decree is still there. And look at 2 days ago, what happened in Ekoma? Also the military. We use military in the place where the police, the true police, are to be used. So I think these are the critical issues in this nation that need to be addressed, and not all this ceremonial of the stuff. So I want to state conclusively that military armed forces Remembrance Day in Nigeria for me is just a mere jamboree, because it does not address the decadence of our military institution. Politicians they are being used, they are being stooges of politicians, which ought not to be so. So I think such must be reviewed. Their gains, their pains, their successes and their failures, to see how to improve our armed forces, because they are the defense of our nation. Good morning.
All right then, good morning. Let's head over to Facebook now, right after this call. Good morning. Do this in a minute.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Chiso.
Good morning.
And the doctor, very good morning to you.
You're welcome.
Let me speak on what is going on in Rivers State. Your analysis this morning over the happening in Rivers State. Let us believe that the things are turning around for the people of Rivers State now, and also the government, all against Wike. Wike alone cannot make the president. He cannot make him a president run for the second term. And Tinubu, he can make him the president alone. They have the people, and also the APC members that have been there for long. They have seen Wike and the political trajectory. This is the one man that they like to manipulate, like to intimidate, and like to lord over everybody. And I don't think that the APC members and all the stakeholders will allow such a thing to happen to them. If they allow Wike to triumph over the illegalities that is going on now, maybe at the end of the whole day, we come up to intimidate them and to dictate for them the thing that they have done in the PDP. That is what we will be doing there. So it is wiser for them to do away with Wike. Even Mr. President, they have helped him in one way or the other to be president. And now he has been rewarded. I don't think that Tinubu is going in.
I have to let you go.
At all. So the better thing is to allow the governor and the people of Rivers State to have their way.
Okay.
Because the people that are still following Wike are just like a rented cloud.
Okay, thank you. I have to let you go. On Facebook, also Francis Ndamani Omaga says that the lawmakers should join hands with Governor Fubara to restore peace and political stability rather than issuing threats of impeachment. Chinyerike, good morning to you too. Thank you very much for following us. More Libera. It takes intelligence, intellect, self-confidence, creativity, commitment, and power to move a nation forward. Do our leaders have what it takes? We need leaders with passion, focus, and vision to move this country forward. We can't continue living in pains and penury. We are desperately in need of a leadership that will improve our lot. In the life of a nation, there comes a crucial moment where leaders take decisive actions against or aimed at salvaging the people from disaster. And Sebastian Apigwe says the type of politics being played in this country is a dirty game. In all of these unwholesome developments in the Rivers State Assembly, no doubt it has enough volume of political background. He went on to say that it is said that when elephants fight, the grass suffers it. A matter of fact, the people of Rivers State are the receiving end, because in all of these developments, either from the governor or the state's assembly, the constituency funds are being wasted for supremacy battle. As it stands now, those assembly members that made a U-turn from the camp of Wike is a wise decision. In no distant time, the speaker and his colleagues will see their names written in the black book of Governor Fubara. Nigeria, we hail thee. Also, Francis Namani says President Trump should not relent in his resolve to assist Nigeria in the fight against banditry. Florence Masajuwa says she deeply appreciates your analysis, Tony. A well-researched edition, she said. Well done. Tora Efijer says the disparity between governors and UHESU nurses, pharmacists and medlab scientists is large. Doctors say they want 1.3 points. Okay, that's 1.3.33. I don't know what this means. That is if nurses, pharmacists, and med lab scientists earn 500,000 per month. Oh, doctors should earn 3 times of that. Okay, that's one of the reasons doctors are planning to go on strike. But Joheso are claiming for adjustment in their salary scale. Okay, and Chigozie KC Basha is asking how much a bag of rice was before APC came to power. Arinze Ijimbe, thank you for your comment. Wisdom Peter, Chidebere John, good morning to you guys as well. Tony, let's round off. You might just briefly answer those questions.
I think I got 3 major questions. I just put down their names so that I can remember the questions they asked. First was from Nzeoku Chukwume, who actually asked a question about why the Britain, they were so much ready and then more like aligned with the North as against the East during the colonial era, why they did what they did. Reason was very simple. The colonial masters, they were here for business. They were here to profit, take over, and possibly return to their country. So in their colonial days, the North gave them all the support. In the East here, because of the advent of the Christianity, there was nationalism, there was anti-colonial sentiment. They made things difficult for them. So it was something that they could not manage. Indirect rule worked perfectly, especially in the North. They used the emirs. They were well structured. In fact, they were following the colonial masters. They were OES member. But down the South, it was a different thing. In fact, they have to introduce warrant chiefs. So you gave them headache, you obstructed them, you wanted them out, but it was not so in the North. They never wanted them out. They cooperated with them. So that was why they loved the North more than the East and did other things they did. Then you have Bonle Johnson, who asks the issue of military regime, why everybody's condemning it. What is wrong with military regime? That every pundit will always tell you that military regime is no. Remember, military regimes are like monarchical systems where a king reigns suzerain. Whatever a king says becomes the case. So if you are opposing the monarchical system, you can as well oppose the military system, because in the military there is no democratic freedom. Everybody will become what they want you to be. And when they decide to, we have seen military regimes in Nigeria, none did better. There was embezzlement, there was corruption, there was intimidation, there was harassment, everything you can think of. There was no freedom of anything. Freedom of speech, no. Freedom of association, no. Freedom of movement, no. Everything, no. So we don't want that. Nobody would want that. And in the area of investment development, one would say, okay, during the time of Babangida, we built 10 mainland bridge, and some airports we have built, some things we have built, and then the roads we are like, what? Hospitals we are like, what? How to these things? In fact, we are really from the neglect of the military regimes. And I'm not saying apart from Jerry Lawrence in Ghana that did clean up. His own was purely clean up and institutionalize the machinery of democracy, which he did by converting from what he was to. See, let's leave that. There's no time. And then you have Badmos Honora who asked question about Ghana and Nigeria. He started by saying that Ghana, there are no match to Nigeria. Ghana, for instance, of course, there are about 36 million people. Nigeria is above 350 million, getting to 300 million people, so you cannot do the comparison. You have to look at per capita income. Ghana has about over $2,000 as per capita income. Nigeria is reading around $1,000. Per capita is by the time you share the entire resource of a nation by the population of the country. So if you look at issue of education, issue of health, they are doing well when it comes to their investment in area of health, education and security. They are better than us in area of security. They are better than us in area of health. They are better than us in area of education. So there are some right policies going well for them, but they have their challenges. There's no doubt. So which one can we say the insecurity in Nigeria is enough for anybody to even migrate to Ghana? And then you want to talk about healthcare system, education system, they invest more. Look at their GDP. Their investment to education is about 2.062% of their GDP. In Nigeria, it's about 0 points. So let's not go there. And it asks question how much doctors are earning in Nigeria and how much doctors are earning in the UK. A junior doctor in the United Kingdom earns above £4,000. Then a consultant earns above £8,000. But a nurse in UK earns about, qualified nurse, registered nurse, earns about £2,000 to £3,000, close to what a junior doctor earns in UK. Close to what, but here in Nigeria, there are nurses. You say there are nurses and nurses. I don't know how you put it, but in any case, a registered nurse here in Nigeria earns above, in federal civil service, above 170,000. In states, around let's say 120, 130. But you have doctors earning around 400, 500. So you measure the gap in 1,000 naira anyway. You measure the gap. But in UK, if you are talking about a junior, what I mean by a junior doctor, someone who is not a consultant, of course, the person earns between £3,000 to £4,000 every month. Now you have a qualified nurse who earns between £2,000 to £3,000, or above £2,000, above £3,000. Very somehow marginal or close to what a junior doctor earns. So the disparity is not as big as we have in Nigeria. But you must also measure what we call PPP, because we must look at protecting power parity. So these are important things. We don't have time to explain them.
All right, then. We do not have a lot of time. I was going to pitch in on that nurse versus nurse. I was going to say there is no English word like nurse for starters, but that's on a lighter note. The Polity is going to make a return 9:15 down to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Until then, do your bit as a patriotic Nigerian to get the Nigeria that we all desire. I am Chisom Chinedu. Thank you for your calls and your contribution. And thank you, Dr. Tony Olisambeki, for your wonderful analysis today. See you tomorrow.